The Book of Revelation, its hidden secrets revealed by Dr. Lisa Love. Part 1, The End Times. Viruses spreading throughout our world. Floods happening everywhere with greater frequency. Giant tornadoes and hurricanes taking place with greater and greater intensity. Volcanoes erupting, destroying entire islands. Fires increasingly taking out trees and grassland. Droughts causing increased anxiety of how will we get enough water to survive, and now the threat of meteors crashing into our Earth. Not to mention the threat of nuclear war, as countries no longer seem to be getting along with each other. That could mean nuclear bombs going off everywhere, decimating cities across the globe, even potentially causing the extinction of life on Earth. Is this a sign of God's wrath with everything going to hell? Should we do whatever we can to pray and stop it now? Some people in the Christian faith believe they have the answers, which is why they have been turning to a particular book in the Bible, the Book of Revelation, written by St. John the Divine. Part 2, the Book. Revelation was thought to be written by St. John the Elder, though some still believe it was St. John the Apostle, around 95 to 96 in the Common Era. For many, it is a mysterious book heavy in symbolic language that most find difficult to interpret. But for those that have a history of its symbolism, rooted in beliefs that go back possibly hundreds or thousands of years before Christianity, it is relatively easy to understand. Revelation has 22 chapters, but for the sake of simplicity, it's been broken into 6 sections. St. John's vision of the throne room, the scroll, lamb, lion, and 4 horsemen, 3 trees and the red dragon, the beast and false prophet, Babylon and the man on a white horse, and the New Jerusalem. Before we reveal the hidden secrets behind the Book of Revelation, we need a brief history lesson, because what these hidden secrets reveal is that St. John is using symbolism found in other religions, especially those predating the founding of Christianity. How can this be? How can St. John be so aware of these hidden secrets found in other faiths? Well, St. John knows because in all likelihood, Jesus knew them and taught these secrets to his innermost circle of apostles. How did Jesus learn? Probably he was taught these secrets in the land of Egypt, where his parents took him not too long after his birth. Joseph and Mary, the parents of Jesus, took him to Egypt before a census of the population had started. Why did they have to flee? Because historically, when Romans took a census, they killed the eldest son of the lower classes to reduce the population. King Herod, having heard a child had been born who could threaten his throne in Jerusalem, was particularly keen on killing all recently born elder sons. Why go to Egypt? For one reason. At the time, it was a spiritual and cultural Mecca because of one person, Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was a Greek who between 334 to 323 BC, at a young age, had conquered territory from Egypt throughout the Mediterranean and into the modern-day Iran, Iraq, India, Pakistan, and even parts of Tibet. During his conquest, Alexander brought along people who would document what he was learning from the different societies and cultures he had encountered. Many of these people followed Alexander into Alexandria, a city he had founded in Egypt. There in Egypt, these people blended their cultures, philosophies, religions, methods of artistic expression, and all known knowledge at the time. Eventually, they built a massive library to store records of what they knew, the Library of Alexandria. Founded by Demetrius of Phalon, a Greek politician who fell from power and fled to Egypt, the library was known to have housed between 200,000, possibly even 700,000 scrolls or books. The library was then accidentally burned in 48 BC, most likely when Julius Caesar from Rome came to Egypt and set ships in the harbor on fire. After the library burned, many people remained there and were attempting to recreate what they knew. Though we don't know for certain, it might have been that Jesus grew up in this region and was influenced by many of the scholars there. Having been exposed to this wealth of knowledge, it should be no surprise that already at a young age, when Jesus returned to Jerusalem, he was able to teach the elder Jewish rabbis a thing or two. Though much of what Jesus taught the elders and later his apostles was either kept secret or lost throughout the centuries, now in our modern age, we are once again able to understand and reveal the hidden secrets Jesus knew, and St. John has kept a record of within the book of Revelation. What kinds of ideas could Jesus have been exposed to? Apart from the traditional teachings of his Jewish heritage, he may have been exposed to the teachings later found within the Zohar, or Book of Splendor. This book taught the mystical teachings of the Kabbalah. These mystical teachings were inspired by the prophet Elijah. They are thought to have finally been written down in book form around 70 Common Era by Shimon bar Yochai. The young Jesus may have also been exposed to stories that came from India while in Egypt. Some say he even traveled to India during his late teens and 20s. Stories from India included tales of Krishna or Krishna, a spiritual incarnation, avatar, or anointed one of God. Having lived thousands of years before Jesus, Krishna was known to have participated in a great end-times battle known as the Kurukshetra. This Armageddon-like battle was written into some of India's most sacred text, written down thousands of years before Jesus' time, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita, that come from the spiritual tradition we now call Hinduism. As we shall see, signs point to the fact that Jesus and also St. John may have known about these books as well. If it is true that Jesus went not only to Egypt, but to India, he may have been exposed to the teachings of the Buddha, who lived 500 years before Jesus. And he may have even trained extensively in meditation and yoga. Part 3. The Revelation. Section 1. St. John's Vision of the Throne Room. The basic story. Chapters 1 through 4. Revelation begins with St. John on the island of Patmos, where he hears a voice. The voice tells him to share the revelation given to him from Jesus Christ with the 7 churches that are developing in 7 cities at the time in what was then known as Asia. The churches are Smyrna, Sardis, Philadelphia, Ephesus, Laodicea, Thyatira, and Pergamos. In the book of Revelation, these churches are symbolized as 7 lampstands. St. John tells the leaders of these churches that the time is near for Jesus Christ to return, meaning they should prepare for his second coming. He also shares that Jesus Christ got the revelation from the Alpha and Omega, or God. Behind the 7 lampstands, John sees one like a son of man with white hair, a face shining like the sun with full strength, eyes like fire, feet of burnished bronze, and with a voice that sounded like many waters. This Son of Man held 7 stars in his right hand, representing the angels of the 7 churches. St. John lists the positive and negative traits of the churches and says that if they don't do right, they will not eat from the tree of life. Next, St. John conveys his vision, or that given to him by Jesus Christ, of entering a throne room in heaven. There he sees someone on a throne with a rainbow that looks like an emerald surrounding him. Around this person sit 24 elders dressed in white garments with gold crowns, singing praises to God. Also singing praises are 4 creatures, an ox, a lion, an eagle, and a man. In front of the throne are 7 burning torches, which represent the 7 spirits of God. A sea of glass that looks like crystal is seen, and above the throne room, lightning and thunder can be seen and heard. Now we have the traditional Christian interpretation of what's going on in section 1. In the traditional view, the one who looks like a son of man is Jesus. The 7 stars in the right hand of Jesus are the 7 angels or leaders of the 7 churches. The sword coming out of the mouth of Jesus represents his power. Unlike before, when Jesus died humbly on the cross, this time he will use that sword to destroy all those who were not faithful to him and send them to hell. As for true believers, they will go to heaven to enjoy eternity in his company. As for the throne room, the 24 elders are the 12 Christian apostles, plus a member from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, descended from Jacob, the son of Abraham. The 4 creatures, well, they basically see them as repeats of either 4 members from the 12 tribes of Israel, or authors of the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, with John and Matthew being repeated as well. 7 torches are simply symbols of spiritual light shining out to a spiritually dark world. Section 1. Secrets Revealed. Revelation begins by telling us that God is the Alpha and the Omega, and at the end of Revelation he says the Alpha and Omega is described as the first and the last, the beginning and the end. In the Gospel of John, God is the Word, or Logos, the Greek word for God. That word in the book of Genesis creates the world by proclaiming, "Let there be light." But what is that word? Over humanity's history, the word was known in ancient Egypt as Amun, short for Amun-Ra, the Egyptian god who created the world through sound. Later that word became the Amen, but in the Asian churches it was the Aum or the Om. As for the person who is like a son of man, the 7 stars in his right hand imply how the 7 churches are meant to be lit up so they can reflect angelic qualities. The 2-edged sword tells us that discernment is needed by members of the churches if they're going to cut through the unreal and discover the real, where deeper truths are revealed to them. How do these 7 churches or lampstands light up the 7 stars? Most are not doing so well. Curiously enough, these churches are developing tasks similar to the 7 stars seen in the 7 centers or chakra system. For example, Pergamum, on the negative side, is seducing people for financial gain. That's definitely an issue with the base of the spine chakra that has to do with money. Thyracia is essentially having immoral sexual relations. Not handling our sexual energy well is a problem with the sacral center when it's not functioning in the right way. Laodicea has no positive traits, and on the negative side, it needs to be more zealous and repentant. Not having enough willpower or fire in the belly or passion is a problem with the solar plexus center when it's not functioning well. Ephesus has abandoned love, a clear connection to the heart chakra when it is depleted. Philadelphia has no negative traits. On the positive side, it has kept its word and did not deny the name of Christ. Keeping one's word and being able to tell the truth is what happens when the throat chakra is functioning in a positive way. Sardis has no positive traits, and on the negative side, its works are not perfect in the sight of God. Not being able to see things clearly or not having perfect sight is a problem with the third eye or ajna center when it is not functioning well. As for Smyrna, it has no negative traits, and on the positive side, it is faithful unto death and gets the crown of life, a clear connection to the crown chakra. The main message of Revelation, then, is a warning to light up the 7 stars while harmonizing them with the 7 spirits before the throne, or 7 rays, or else negative consequences will happen to oneself and our world. We also need to infuse the emerald ray, the 3rd ray of intelligent activity that rules our world, with the energies of the incoming 2nd ray, Christ-like love. That means we need to go into meditative states of samadhi, where we are lifted into the throne room or crown chakra. When we finally get into the throne room, we will see the Alpha and Omega that created our world, known as Sanat Kumara, one of the many Kumaras spoken about in Hindu and yoga literature. Melchizedek, a name that comes from the Jewish tradition. The Ancient of Days, found in Greek, Rome, and Jewish traditions, were the planetary logos, who we factually live, move, and have our being inside of. As for the 24 elders, first off, 24 is the sacred number of Shambhala, the Asian name for heaven, that in Revelation is the New Jerusalem. We should also note that there are 24 elements that make up the human body. 24 ribs in the average human rib cage, with 12 sitting on each side. These 24 ribs, 12 on each side, protect the heart, or the Alpha and Omega, or the beginning and end of anyone's life. There are also 24 hours in a day, and to get to the throne room and stay there, we need continuity of consciousness, where we are in touch with the throne room 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Regarding the 4 creatures around the throne, they are the fixed cross of the zodiac, who represent the path of discipleship, where we undergo spiritual disciplines to reach the divine. As for the thunder and lightning, these are the electrical impulses let loose within our planet. But they also stand for the magnetic current set up between the pineal and pituitary glands in the human brain that allow contact with the throne room to occur. To get to the throne room, our mind and emotions must become quiet, like a sea of glass. Only then will we enter the throne room without creating glamour or distortion. Section 2, Scroll, Lamb, Lion, and 4 Horsemen, the basic story. Chapters 5 through 9. Next, while in the throne room, St. John is given a scroll with 7 seals on it. The angel by the throne asks, "Who is worthy to break the seals?" St. John weeps when he hears no one can do this. Then he is told not to worry. The Lion of the Israeli tribe of Judah, the Root of David, can unlock the 7 seals and open the scroll. A slain lamb now appears. It has 7 horns and 7 eyes, capable of seeing all that happens on the earth. The lamb takes the scroll. Myriads of angels' voices sing in celebration, along with all of those in the throne room and every creature in heaven and on the sea. When the celebration ends, the first 4 seals are opened. 4 different colored horses with different colored riders appear. The first is given the power to conquer. The second can remove the peace. The third maintains balance. The fourth holds the power of death. As the 5th seal is opened, souls who have been slain come back to life. They are given white robes and the power to avenge those who had killed them. As the 6th seal is opened, a terrible earthquake happens. The sun becomes black. The moon turns red like blood. Stars fall to earth. All mountains and islands vanish. The sky disappears, and everyone hides from the wrath of the Lamb. Before the 7th seal is opened, 4 angels hold back the 4 corners of the world and the 4 winds, so they cannot blow. Angels then take 144,000 who were given white robes to protect them. The 144,000 all have descended from the 12 tribes of Israel, with 12,000 from each tribe. The 144,000 are then sealed with the name of the Father or Word written on their foreheads. Then they go up to Mount Zion to sit with the Lamb and to play harps and sing before the 4 creatures and 24 elders. But then angels with sickles appear to prepare the way for a judgment of all those who are not sealed by the Word. As the 7th seal opens, everything goes silent for half an hour. 7 angels appear, and God gives them 7 trumpets. Another angel comes and mixes incense into a golden censer, along with fire from the altar and prayers from the saints. Thunder and lightning appear, and another earthquake begins. Now, the 7 angels blow their trumpets. Hail and fire mixed with blood fall on earth. A third of the trees and grass burn up. A mountain erupts with fire and is thrown into the sea. A third of all living creatures and ships die. A blazing star falls from heaven named Wormwood. A third of the waters become bitter and many more men die. A third of the sun, the moon, and the stars are darkened. A third of the day is now totally dark, a third totally light. The 5th trumpet sounds. A star, another meteor, falls to earth, opening a shaft to a bottomless pit where smoke emerges. Locusts, with human faces, crowns of gold, hair like women's hair, teeth like a lion, scales like iron breastplates, wings, and tails like scorpions, come out to torture men for 5 months and kill all those who, like the 144,000, were not sealed. Though these locusts torture men, they do not kill grass or trees. All of this is so terrible. Everyone hopes to die. Then the 6th trumpet sounds. The 4 angels release water from the river Euphrates. 2/3 of humanity are now gone. 1/3 of humanity has survived, but they still worship demons, idols of gold, silver, bronze, and wood. They have also not repented their murders, sorceries, immoralities, or theft. Section 2. The Traditional Christian View. What is the scroll? Traditional Christians are not sure, but obviously it requires heavy sealing. They may even assert that there are 7 separate scrolls that are sealed, stacked together. As for the lion, he is Jesus, who rules as king over all. And the lamb, it is also Jesus, who died to take away our sins. As for the 4 horsemen, they are the 4 punishments of God: conquest, war, famine, and death, and foreshadow more bad things to come. And the 144,000, they are the first to be raptured or beamed up into heaven. But because traditional Christians are worried about being stuck on earth during all the war, famine, and death, they often extend the number of raptured from 144,000 into the multi-millions. They also tend to ignore how St. John says to become one of the 144,000, you must never have defiled yourself, had sex with a woman, never lied, and are totally spotless in your behavior. As for the trumpets sounding, well, they are just trumpets. Section 2. Revealed. We now come to the most substantial section to explain, starting with the scroll and its 7 seals. Just as the 7 churches can be associated with the centers or chakras, so can the scroll. First, we see how the 7 seals are the centers not yet opened. Second, we discover that the 7 stars represent what the centers look like when they are open or lit. The goal for all those who are in the churches is to get to the throne room by breaking the 7 seals of the centers, light their 7 stars, and get in touch with the 7 angels associated with them, which are essentially the 7 spirits or 7 rays before the throne, who help us contact the Word or planetary logos. As for the association of angels or devas with the centers, these associations are found in both Western and Eastern traditions. We begin to earnestly aspire to the throne room, crown center, or Ezekiel's wheel, only when we are on the path of discipleship, ruled by the man, ox, lion, and eagle. That is when we start to more earnestly, and not just in a half-hearted way as a probationer, do the purification practices that ensure when the 7 seals are opened, the 144,000 points on the 7 stars are successfully lit. So here you see the number of points on the 6 lower stars, 4, 6, 10, 12, 16, 96, equal 144. And when you times that by the 1,000 points in the chakra of the crown center, then you get 1,000 times 144 is the 144,000, which is not a number of people, it is the number of purification processes we need to make. If we do not make these purifications, then when the time is right for the seals of these centers to be opened, toxins will spill out, damaging ourselves and our world. Here is where the lamb, symbolizing sacrifice, helps us. We begin by using its 7 eyes to see the impurities in our centers, 1 for each center. Then we use its 7 horns to poke them all out. That explains the lamb, but what about the lion? As the king of the jungle, the lion represents our dominant animal nature ruling over us. In the secret teachings, the lion, or Leo, is the fully integrated person who has brought together the mind, emotions, and physical virile nature to get whatever is wanted in the world. But that lion must learn to lie down with the lamb and sacrifice its selfish, separative nature. As the seals are broken, the disciple is given tools to use in the purification work. The first seal and tool. As the first seal breaks, a horse and rider appear, giving the power to conquer. But what are we meant to conquer? The negative tendencies of the base of the spine or Muladhara center. So as the star is purified, we overcome the fear of death and the selfishness that leads to greed. We simplify our lives so we have time for the divine. Now we no longer promote falsehoods and seduce people for financial gain like the Church of Pergamum did. Instead, we are honest and generous with the earth's resources. The second seal and tool. As the second seal breaks, the next horse and rider gives the power to remove the peace. But what kind of peace must be removed? Mainly the lazy and indulgent peace of the sacral or Svadhisthana center. As the star is purified, we have a better understanding of what will really give us pleasure and peace in our lives. We now pursue true joy in the divine. No longer overindulgent in seeking pleasure primarily in the outer world, as Thyracia did, we find our true spiritual identity, helping us to be more lighthearted, playful, grateful, and full of joy. Able to maintain our peace within, we connect with others in a more peaceful and conscious way without. Now we are capable of building loving communities where we actually work to support one another. The third seal and tool. As the third seal breaks, the next horse and rider brings the scales of balance. What are we meant to balance? Our personal power, combined with our collective responsibilities towards others found in the solar plexus or Manipura center. As the star is purified, we use our power to help others and not only ourselves. We are just, fair, and balanced with people. Unlike Laodicea, we are zealous about using our willpower to fulfill our karmic obligations to others and repentant when we don't. As we become responsible for the welfare of others, we make sure others are responsible as well. That way everyone is balanced, helping all lead dignified and ennobled lives. The fourth seal and tool. As the fourth seal breaks, the next horse and rider brings death. But what are we meant to kill? Everything that keeps the heart or Anahata center from opening. As this star is purified, love, compassion, harmlessness, understanding emerge. As we kill off our separative, selfish, and destructive tendencies, we are more able to open our hearts to love ourselves as well as everyone and everything in the world around us. Unlike Ephesus, we do not abandon love. Rather, we strive to understand and connect with everything and everyone around us with wisdom and Christ-like love. The fifth seal and tool. As the fifth seal breaks, the dead come back to life and are given the power to avenge, hit back, or redeem themselves. But for what purpose? Primarily to restore the qualities of a healthy throat or Vishuddha center. As the star is purified, We cut through, avenge, or redeem the lies that have kept us and others from knowing the truth. And we make ourselves and others accountable for speaking truth while being civil as we do so. Because we are capable of hearing and speaking the truth of divine realities, like Philadelphia, we are not afraid to speak truth to power, to avenge or redeem falsehoods, and with wisdom to insist upon the good. We are also better able to listen to and speak about divine truths, so truth rules our lives and our world. The truth avenges or redeems malicious lies and gives way to the sixth seal and tool. As the sixth seal breaks, the sun goes black, the moon looks like blood, the sky vanishes, mountains fall, and islands disappear. The external world fades from view. Why? To help us open the inner vision or insight of the third eye or ajna center. As the star is purified, we rely more on the inner than the outer realms for support. Inner vision helps us to see the real, and that is what we look to for insight and support. Unlike Sardis, we are not blind to spiritual realities. We do not lack inner vision and discernment. We also see how the outer world cannot bring ultimate happiness. Rather, we pull our sight inward to better see who we really are as spiritual beings and live accordingly. Now, the seventh seal opens. There is a silent pause. It is time to reflect. Have we really done enough purification work on the 7 stars and their 144,000 points? Like Smyrna, are we pure enough to receive the crown? If not, it may be too late. Ready or not, the cycle for awakening has come. 7 more angels appear, ready to blow 7 trumpets and set events into motion for better or worse. So what are these trumpets? To put it simply, they are the sounds of the stars' centers or chakras. When these centers are activated by sound, if we are not careful, more negative things will happen or spill out from the bowls, which we will see later in this story, in ourselves and our world. End of video 1. Get more revelations in the second half of this presentation in video 2. Enjoy this video? Support this work. Help us write more books and do more videos. When you do, you will get copies of charts, books, and an inside look into our process and what's next. Become a patron at patreon.com/Soul to Spirit. Visit our website for more info. Enjoy this YouTube channel? Subscribe, like, comment, share. Giving credit where it's due, this video was created and narrated by Dr. Lisa Love. Videos, music, and sound effects purchased for use from storyblocks.com. Many photos were purchased from 123rf.com. Other photos came from various places on the internet for the purpose of educational use. Thanks for watching.